I have an illustration here of a tortoise and hare that I did on Scratchboard. It's line art, meaning everything is either black or white. There are no tones of gray or color. I like this drawing as it is, but I also want a color version. And I want both pieces, line art and color versions, to be original art that is suitable for framing. Now, there are a few ways to add color to a line drawing, and the method I'm going to use here is just one option. I'm going to screen print the existing line drawing with a very light blue onto a new piece of ampersand Claybord. I will use that light blue impression as a guide to hand paint the color. Then, I will screen print the line drawing, in black, over the color. I can then do further scratching and inking on the color version until it's where I want it. This will be clearer as I show you the steps, so let's get started. I will assume, for the purpose of this demonstration, that you understand how to draw, and scan, a pen and ink drawing that will print well with screen printing. You can either pay someone else to do the screen printing for you, or you can do it yourself if you know how and have the equipment. I will be doing my own screen printing. The first thing I need to set up a screen for printing is a film positive. That's basically a copy of the line drawing on clear acetate. The film positive has two purposes. It will be used to expose a screen for printing, and it will also be used to help visualize the color as the painting is done. I'll say this again. I won't be explaining much about screen printing. So, here I have exposed a screen with my Scratchboard drawing, and my first screen print will be onto a piece of ampersand Claybord. The purpose of this printing is just for a guide for where to paint the color. The color I use for this is a very light blue. The color should be as light as possible but still be dark enough to see when painting. The blue drawing serves only as a template or guide for placing the color. The blue guide will eventually disappear when completely covered with opaque paint. I give the printed ink, which is a water-based screen printing ink, time to dry. Then I put the film positive on top and line it up with the blue image. I then tape one side down securely. I will keep this film positive taped to the board the entire time that I'm adding the color. Here, I have painted one of the cactus and I then flip the film positive over it. This helps me visualize how it will look later when the black is screen printed over it. I paint the tortoise and hare. And check again. You should check frequently as you paint. Make sure the paint is dry before flipping over the film positive or the film positive will be messed up. And here's a closer look at how the color looks with the line art. All the painting can be done with a brush, but I decided to mask the sky area and airbrush the sky. I check the color again with the overlay after airbrushing. Everything is looking good. So I keep on painting and checking with the overlay as I go. I use Liquitex airbrush paint for both the airbrushing and hand brushing. What paint you use is your choice, but it needs to be fairly opaque so the blue line template will be completely covered at the end. Gouache would be another good choice. Maybe even a better choice. After all the color is finished, I make one more visual check before going to the next step. This next step is very important. It's the step of screen printing the black line work over the color. Make a mistake with this stage and all your work of adding color will be wasted. There is no undo for this. Once the squeegee is pulled, there is no do-over. Good news! I was careful and my line work printed as expected. Now I take the piece back to my drawing board to do the final tweaking. Although I screen printed my line work onto this piece of Scratchboard, it's not a print. It's an original piece of art done on Scratchboard. And I will continue now to scratch and ink the same way as with any Scratchboard piece. The screen printing ink scratches off as cleanly as India ink. I can also continue to draw with ink. I can even continue to add color, but the color now has to be transparent so as not to obscure the line work. As these next few clips play, you will see that there is still a lot of work that goes into the piece even after being overprinted with the finished line drawing. There are different reasons why the extra work is needed. In some places the printing may have filled in and needs to be opened up. Another reason is that once the line work and color are put together, there might be areas where the color or line work need to be adjusted to make things work together better. Now, I will just throw out a few tips for this process. Number 1. When doing this screen printing method, I always work at least 125% larger than the original line art. This helps compensate for the fact that screen printing can't hold the tiniest of details. Number 2. Keep the color value low. Something like 20 to 30%. Darker values will reduce the contrast of the drawing. Number 3. Keep in mind that the color can be scratched off to lighten the color or to create highlights or textures. Number 4. The color process for this method is very forgiving. The line work dominates and will kill most of those subtle little details that you labored so hard over. Thank you, and please leave a comment. I will try and answer. Also, please click the like button and subscribe if you find this video useful.